Good evening, Yorktown. This is Supervisor Matt Slater coming to you live from Town Hall. Today is April 23rd. I'm joined by Deputy Supervisor and Town Councilman Tom Diana. Councilman, how are you?
Very good, Matt. Good evening, everybody.
And Councilman Diana is showing off his masks and his gloves. We are 6 feet apart and practicing social distancing. We wanted to provide some updated information for everybody at home. I want to begin by wishing everyone celebrating a happy Ramadan. I know that the holiday is starting tonight. So again, for all those celebrating, wishing you a joyful holiday. We heard from the governor this morning. We heard total hospitalizations and intubations are down statewide. New COVID cases continue to remain flat statewide at about 1,300 new cases per day. Here in Yorktown, the total number of confirmed COVID cases, again, since we started tracking this a number of weeks ago, is 392. Westchester County is now at 25,959, which is an increase of 683 from yesterday. And New York State is now over at 263,460, an increase of 6,244 from the day prior. We heard a lot from the governor earlier today, especially about antibody testing. They did perform their first statewide antibody testing. The sample seemed a bit unclear, but some of the results showed 13.9% tested, who were tested did have the antibody. And broken down by region, Westchester-Rockland region was at 11.7 positive tests. Long Island was at 16.7 positive tests, and New York City at 21.2% positive tests. So this is, of course, of the sample that they were utilizing. It's a statewide of, they expect a statewide of 2.7 million New Yorkers having the antibody. And what does that mean? We've had several doctors on our show. Possessing the antibody in these tests is evidence that you have, in fact, come into contact with COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, and that your body has either successfully fought off the virus or is in the process of fighting off the virus. And so the antibody test is something we continue to hear a lot on the federal and state level as a key component for us lifting the pause on the state of New York. Obviously, here in the local government, we do not have the resources to marshal in order to distribute the antibody tests, and so we're working very closely with our partners on the federal and state level as they continue to produce the tests and distribute them for use. Do have some local news that I wanted to share with everyone, and it starts with taxes. We had Vidat Ghashi, our county legislator from the 4th District, join the town board on Tuesday's meeting. We will be having another meeting this coming Tuesday. These are done via Zoom. It's a video conferencing mechanism, so we continue to perform our duties here in town government. Our planning board continues to meet. Our zoning board is preparing to meet in May. Last night I joined our Climate Smart Communities Task Force, and we had a Zoom meeting we tried to put live on Facebook in honor of the 50th anniversary of Earth Day to show the folks at home all the really terrific initiatives that our task force and for our Climate Smart Communities is exploring, and that is available on Facebook. But going back to taxes, there was several decisions that were made on the county level last week regarding taxes, and the governor came down on Monday with an executive order which set a number of things in motion. And so at this point, the tax date is still April 30th is the deadline to pay your taxes to the town of Yorktown. However, for individuals who qualify, and there are parameters for qualification, you have to be a STAR recipient, you have to pay your taxes directly. So if you pay via escrow, you're automatically disqualified. So you have to, again, be a STAR recipient, pay your your taxes directly, and you must certify the COVID-19 impact to your income using the certification form. That certification form is going to be available on our website shortly. This is for both residential and self-employed owners of a business. And so with those qualifications and with our good work done by the county executive, George Latimer, Governor Cuomo, and of course our town board, you will receive a tax extension to July 15th. So I will say this again. In order to get that tax extension to July 15th, you need to be a recipient of the STAR program. You need to make sure that you're paying directly to the town and not paying through escrow. And you must certify that COVID-19 impact to your income using the certification form that will be available shortly on our website. There are additional relief as well for individual taxpayers with rental properties, as well as our businesses. For individual taxpayers with rental properties, you have to have 6 or less rental units. You must certify 50% of your rents have not been paid. You must certify a loss of rent is a result of tenants losing their employment due to COVID-19, and that you're not paying your taxes through escrow. Again, that's for individual taxpayers who do own rental properties. For businesses, if your net income is under $1 million in 2019 and you provide the certification of your income being impacted by COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, you can do that again online. The forms will be available on the yorktownny.org website, and so you can fill out the form. You're going to sign the form, send it into the tax receiver's office here at Town Hall, and that would provide you the relief for your July 15th deadline. Again, extending that deadline from April 30th to July 15th. If you do not qualify for the July 15th extension, the Board of Legislators passed legislation that changed the schedule for late fees and penalties. And so if you pay in May, it is 0.5%. Again, this is only if you don't qualify for the July 15th extension. If you pay late, it is 0.5%. If you pay between June 1st and July 15th, it is a 1% penalty. For anybody who pays on July 16th through July 31st, including those with the hardship requirement, it is a 5% penalty. And for those who pay between August and September, it is 7% penalty on your taxes. So again, we working very diligently with our partners on the county and the state level. I do want to thank everybody involved. This was truly a bipartisan effort to provide help and relief to those who need it most, to those who have lost their employment due to coronavirus, and to our businesses who have been impacted due to the coronavirus. We are able to provide this relief and this extension on taxes. So again, all that information and all the necessary forms will be provided on our website. If you don't have access to the internet and still are in need of a hardship waiver, you can contact my office directly, which is 914-962-5722, extension 200. That's 914-962-5722, extension 200. Or you can contact the tax receiver's office directly. And again, if you call the 962-5722 line, you can follow the prompts to reach the tax receiver's office. I don't remember her extension off the top of my head.
I don't have it either, Matt.
I have other announcements to make, but I want to invite Councilman Diana if you have some additional COVID-related announcements that you'd like to share with the public.
Yeah, folks, I'd just like to say that there has been a better effort with our residents, and maybe it's not just our residents. It may be from people that are from out of town shopping here, keeping their gloves and masks off the ground in front of places of where they may buy food, delis, et cetera, et cetera. Just a reminder that our code enforcement officers are out there and they're looking for people who may be littering. We have upped our fine to $1,000 for littering. All right, quite frankly, it's disgusting for anybody to take the gloves off their hands and throw them on the ground, especially when there's receptacles available. If there is no receptacle available, take them home with you and dispose of them properly. Do not throw them on the ground. Just remember, somebody has to pick them up, and they are contaminated. Even if you don't have the virus, they are still contaminated with your personal germs. The other thing, I was advised today that the Yorktown Elks has been awarded, or is going to be awarded, a $2,500. I wish it was $25,000. $2,500 grant from the National Elks. They are distributing grants throughout the Elks clubs, from what I was told. And the $2,500 is going to be turned over at some point in time by the Elks to our senior center. And there's also a $500 donation that Yorktown Elks Lodge is going to be offering to a Yorktown food pantry so that they can operate, go out and buy food, etc. So that's some good news, because the supervisor and I were out last week out at the food pantry in Mohegan, and folks, if you can drop off a couple boxes of cereal, a couple canned goods, or give them a call to see what they need. If you could drop a couple things off, it would really be helpful for them. And right now, I think that's all I have. Just, folks, just try and bear with this a little while longer. I know it's tough. We're probably all over it by this time. And remain and do the social distancing. Put on your gloves and masks. Even if it's a bandana that you wrap around your face and you kind of look like the Frito Bandito going into some of these stores. But if you don't have a mask, you can do that. So, yeah, please. Let's just get through this thing. I think we're all doing a good job, and I want to thank all the Yorktowners for doing that good job.
We've done a great job, and our numbers show that. Even though we still see more cases, even though we're seeing more cases compared to where we were originally projected to be, which is again 4% of the total number of cases, we're well below that number at this point in time. So again, keep up the great work, Yorktown. I do have a few more announcements. On Tuesday's town board meeting, the town board voted unanimously to forgive rent for our tenants at the Albert A. Capellini Community and Cultural Center. I got it right. And that was a decision made because obviously our town buildings remain closed, and so our tenants are not able to even enter the building, and so the town board, again leading by example, has forgiven rent during the coronavirus time frame for our tenants, and we look forward to getting them back up and running as soon as possible and providing great services and great entertainment for the town of Yorktown. The North County Trailway remains open. I want to remind everybody that even if you're on the Trailway, I know the Trailway very, very well. I trained for a marathon on that Trailway. It is not the widest of passageways, and so when you are biking or riding next to somebody, you're taking up more than half of the path. And so, just as a reminder, if you can't maintain social distancing, that you do, under an executive order by Governor Cuomo, have to wear a mask. And I want to reiterate, we heard from Dr. Ford, we heard from Dr. Van Kust, who is here. When you're exercising, when you're walking, when you're running, you are leaving a trail of particles. There was a New York Times article. The New York Times article cited 15 feet. So even if you're maintaining 6 feet and you're running past somebody, you're still leaving a 15-foot wake in your rear. So again, if you are out exercising or enjoying the trailway, the North County Trailway, or any of our trails, and you cannot maintain social distancing, please make sure you are wearing a mask. Councilman Diana mentioned St. Mary's Food Pantry. I want to thank Mark Anthony of the pub right here in Yorktown off Commerce Street. Today, he and his staff delivered 120 pounds of prepackaged pasta to the food pantry up at St. Mary's on Route 6 in Mohegan Lake. We really appreciate Mark's incredible example of the Yorktown way. I also want to thank our friends at Game Sportswear. They made a surprise visit to us here at the town of Yorktown at Town Hall today and dropped off additional cloth masks. As you can see, Councilman Diana, we were very surprised because we frankly didn't even put an order in, but they had extra masks, and they know that our staff continues to work. We continue to work at a 50% capacity overall for town departments, and so we really want to thank all of our friends at Game Sportswear for their incredible generosity. I want to make sure that I also focus on, we have a number of not-for-profits in our community, and I had a great meeting today with Kathy Quinn of Support Connections. And Support Connections, Drug Crisis in Our Backyard, Yorktown Alliance for Safe Kids, our Spark, our not-for-profits continue to provide services during this incredibly challenging time. And so I want to remind folks that if you are in need, if you are struggling with cancer treatments or addiction issues, or any of our neighbors who have special needs, there are still services out there. They're different than traditionally provided. They are done virtually. They are done over the phone, but they're still out there. And our not-for-profits can use also the public support to continue to provide those services. And so we're going to be doing a special highlight of our not-for-profits in the next week or so, something that Kathy Quinn and I are going to be working on together, and I want to thank her for her leadership. But again, remember those not-for-profits, and just like we're supporting our Main Street businesses and restaurants who continue to deliver food, if you can spare some financial help to our not-for-profits, I know it'll go a very, very long way. As I said earlier, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We had a great demonstration online on Facebook by our director of our Recycling and Refuge Center, Kim English-Gage, on the proper way to recycle in the town of Yorktown. So if you haven't checked out that video, I encourage you and urge you to do so. So she provided some great tips, some great advice on the proper way to recycle in the town of Yorktown. And so we're doing everything we can, even in these challenging times, to protect our environment and to protect our planet. Speaking of R&R bulk pickup, we're going to be seeing another schedule change in the bulk pickup. We're going to be announcing that in the coming days. All of this information is right on our website, yorktownny.org. It's on the main homepage. It's also on the COVID-19 update page. So please continue to utilize the website as a fantastic source of information. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about life after the coronavirus. It's something that everyone is very anxious for. We have put together a task force, the Reboot Yorktown Task Force, that's focused on making sure that when that time comes, the town of Yorktown is ready. And what does that mean? Fact of the matter is, we are seeing a drastic decrease in revenue to the town. Budgets on local government and county government, we heard from the county executive, the county is expecting to be nearly more than $100 million short in revenue. The town is in the same boat. And unfortunately, leaders in Washington, frankly, are not providing the level of support that we desperately need. And as far as I'm concerned, until they prove to me and this town and this community and our state that they're willing to step up and support and provide the relief that we desperately need, we're on our own. And so Reboot Yorktown is a task force that's focused on growing our economy to fill the budgetary gaps that we are surely going to see. And so we had our first meeting on Monday. More than a dozen stakeholders, members of our staff, business leaders, both local and regional. It was a really comprehensive conversation, And we're already moving on some of our initiatives, which I'm very excited about. We're looking at providing a streamlined process for our local eateries and restaurants to provide some outdoor seating in the coming months, especially in the summer, depending on, of course, what Governor Cuomo's on-pause reduction looks like. And we're also looking at some new development overlay districts. These are things that were discussed in the comprehensive plan, but our planning department is beginning to actually explore implementation, something that can spur economic growth in key parts of our town. And so these are all, and I think the governor did a great job phrasing it as reimagine, and I agree with him completely. This is an opportunity. From every bad thing that happens, something good always emerges from it, and we could have a real opportunity here in the town of Yorktown to leapfrog some of the communities that we continue to compete with economically. And so the Reboot Yorktown Task Force is laser focused on providing new and creative methods for us to achieve a vision that will support the town of Yorktown, grow our economy, and help us through these troubling times. And with that, I want to remind everybody that you can always reach me directly. My email is mslater@yorktownny.org. I try my best to respond to everyone as fast as I can. I know that there are a number of people who are starting to tag me on threads in the Yorktown Families Facebook page, which is actually very helpful because I'm more than happy to engage and provide information and guidance in any way that I can. And also, like I said earlier, you can call directly to my office, 914-962-5722, extension 200. With that, Councilman, anything else you want to add?
Nope, I think that's it. Everybody just keep doing the good job that you're doing out there, and we'll be through this soon.
Absolutely. We'll continue the Yorktown way. We'll continue to lead from the front. We'll continue to be good neighbors to each other and to even those we don't know. And that's what Yorktown stands for. And so keep up the good work. Keep your social distancing. Continue to make socially responsible decisions. And stay healthy, stay safe. And when we have new information, we'll report back to you directly. We'll see you soon. Thank you.